try it. Hey guys, it's Rudy with Creative Reloading Solution. And if you're thinking about buying an ultimate primer punch, but you're not quite sure how difficult it is to install, I'm going to show you that in this video. So the first thing you'll need to do is remove the OEM punch. Now, this isn't the proper punch for this machine. I haven't used an OEM punch in so long, I don't even know where the 20 gauge punch is for this machine. But you're going to have to get yourself, unfortunately, a pair of pliers to grab a hold of the OEM punch, and you're going to need a 3/4 inch wrench to get the OEM punch off of there. So now that that's off, I got to tell you, I don't have the primer feed on this, so I'm able to show you a little bit easier. But if you do have your primer feeder on there, you're going to have to work around it. It's going to be a little bit more difficult. The next step is you're going to take your ultimate primer punch and you're going to slide it up in the hole, but you're going to use the existing nut from your OEM punch and you're going to tighten that down. Now, when you're tightening this down, you're going to find out on my punch, I do have wrench flats on my punch. So you don't have to grab any part of my punch with a pair of pliers. All you need is a 5/8 wrench. And if you look underneath there, you'll see the square part of the flat that we put on there in order to make tightening the punch down much more simpler and easier on the punch. So here you go. Now you don't want to over tighten this if it's a mech. You just want to snug it down. It's not going to move. It only travels up and down. So now we got to set the punch up. The easiest way to do that is to loosen this 9/16 jam nut and run your punch up a little bit. I would say take it 1/4 inch up above the top of the adapter and start there. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to pull your handle all the way down and see if it knocks out your primer. It's not knocking out the primer, so just leave your handle right there and screw the punch down a little bit more, like a half a turn at a time. We're still not knocking out the primer. Let's go a little bit more. Not yet. There you go. The primer just dropped. So that's a good place to start once you install your punch. So at this point, we want to run this 9/16 jam nut back up again. And then we want to tighten that 9/16 jam nut down. Now, don't over tighten anything. You don't need to over tighten that because you might need to loosen this up again in order to make your final adjustment. Now, remember, if your primer pockets are too tight, you want to take the punch up and do less conditioning. If they're not tight enough, then you want to take the punch down. And then now the only thing left to do is adjust your flare. Well, that's a matter of preference. You know, they tell me less is more with the flare. You just want to have it enough that it's going to, you know, relieve some of the elasticity at the top of those crimp folds. That looks about right there. The primer pocket looks good, and so does the top. I would leave that right there. I would keep that locked down right there and try some shells. Remember, you only want that primer to go about halfway in, a new primer, about halfway in, and that's where you want to leave it, because if you get it too tight, then your primers aren't going to seat all the way. So that's it. I mean, to install an ultimate primer punch, if you have a little bit of mechanical ability, it's pretty easy to install, and it's pretty easy to adjust. If you don't have any mechanical ability, that's what this video was for. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.